What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for checking out the podcast. We hope you're excited for this new episode of The Movies That Make You. This is going to be a fun one. Me and the boys and Kristen, we all watched through the Apes movies together from the 2010s series, and so really, really good discussion. Each movie had some fun parts to address, and some good morals and good lessons as well. So we hope you're excited as we are. It's going to be fun. Um, also want to let you know that if you and also wanted to let you know that you can follow us on Instagram. That's where you can see upcoming episodes. Also keep up with the movies that we're watching. We post those at least once a week, kind of share what we watched over the weekend, kind of thing. Also, you can find us on Letterboxd, and that's under at I am Sprang, and you can see, like I said, follow along with the movies that we're watching. But also, we have all of our lists posted there. So the movies that make you laugh, the movies that make you uh, feel, the movies that make you cheer. That all those lists are on our Letterbox, so you can check that out there. Love for you to give us a follow there. And like I said, Instagram, best place to see kind of what's coming up. And we post throughout the week, a few times a week. So very fun stuff. Well, without further ado, let's get to the podcast. All right, we are back, and we are here for another Movies That Make You podcast. And it's gonna star I am Sprang, which is me, and I'm the dad.
I'm Jacob, and I'm 13.
I'm Connor, and I'm 14.
I'm Colton, and I'm Sigma.
And I'm Zeke, and I'm Beta.
All right, we'll go with that. If you don't know what those words are, don't let it bother you. It's 10-year-old stuff.
10 and 11.
10 and 11. Okay. Cool. So we are here. This would probably be the movies that make you feel, right? Because these movies were very feely, very made you get emotional, and all that stuff, which is crazy because we're talking about the Planet of the Apes movies. Now, just to clarify for those of you listening, we're talking about the movies that came out in the 2010s, and these are the first one was starring James Franco. The second one was starring Gary Oldman and Kerry Russell and others. And then the third one was starring Woody Harrelson as far as the humans are concerned. But they were all starring one guy named Andy Serkis. How many of you have heard of the Lord of the Rings movies that are here? Everybody raised their hands. Everybody's heard of them. So there is a character in Lord of the Rings named Gollum, and he is a hobbit that has deteriorated down to being a somewhat like goblin-like character. Well, Andy Serkis did all the motion capture. It was the first motion capture, performance capture character. Now, who wants to tell me difference between performance capture and motion capture?
I think motion capture is whenever someone's wearing a green suit and they have dots on them, and performance is computer generated.
Performance adds in not just the motions, but it captures all the dots and stuff on their face.
The newest Avatar did that.
Exactly. Yep. So the newest avatars did those, and Gollum was the first one to do that. This performance capture. So Andy Serkis acted out all the scenes as Gollum. He did they recorded his face so that they could capture all of his movements and attach it to the digital version of Gollum. And they did the same thing with Caesar. And so that's why Caesar has such a real feel to his facial expressions and his eyes and all that stuff. So before we jump into the movies, what did you guys think about just Caesar as a character?
It was crazy realistic. Like whenever they're zooming closer into his face, like you can see all like the tiny squares and like the eyes look really good. Yeah. The skin is crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. What about you, Colton? What just Caesar as a character?
I think it was pretty I want to say Sigma, but nobody knows what that means. He's like an alpha. It's like a leader.
Yeah, very cool character. What about you, Zeke? What's your thoughts on Caesar?
Yeah, I do agree with Colton on that. But also, I think that he was also very cool. and he was pretty nice, not killing those humans.
Yeah, very good. And Jacob, what about your thoughts on Caesar?
I agree with Colton. I felt like he was. I know it's goofy, but I felt like he was an alpha, and I felt like because he really knew like how humans can treat apes and how they can have a nice side. Koba just didn't really like see that, and then it just messed the whole thing up, and so then I have all this conflict.
Yeah, very cool. And we'll dive into some of the plot details just so everybody's listening. We're assuming that you've seen these movies before, so we're going to dive into some of those. But just wanted to give you that overall kind of, this is a huge deal, Andy Serkis. He's also been in a Marvel movie as the Claw. Remember him from Black Panther? He had the arm thing that turned into a gun. So that's him in his real human skin, not his digital skin. And so that was another movie that we've known him from. So
He looks like the goblin that he played, or the golem.
a little bit, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes then they've been doing that more recently, where they'll try and match the CG character to be somewhat facial, kind of like the person, so that they still get a little bit of that. But there's a big difference between just motion capture, because that they do that for a lot of characters, a lot of things. Video games do that when they're doing dunks and they're doing spin moves and all that stuff. They have athletes in a gym with the performance dots on, like Connor was saying, and they're capturing their movements so that they look realistic in the video game. Whereas in these movies, starting with Gollum and then kind of Avatar doing it, taking another level up, and all the movies now with CG, they're really trying to performance capture the whole thing. It's not just a CG character, it's a CG skin basically in the movie, but the whole performance was a human actor in the background. So that's a very cool thing. They actually have talked a little bit about bringing that in as a category in like movie awards and stuff, because it's such a big deal these days. So I need to say one more thing before we jump into the movies. If you are an adult and you do not mind older movies, I would highly suggest you watching the original Planet of the Apes starring Charlton Heston. It is a very different type of movie. It is more of a drama, not very much action in it at all. But if you can handle the kind of the old style of it, it does do a really good job of setting up the films that we're going to talk about today. And I think it even sets up even more the new movie that's coming out, which is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is why we've watched these movies, why we're doing this podcast. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out this Friday as you're listening to this. So definitely, if you have time, I would suggest you watching the original and then watching these three as you prepare for Kingdom. So we're going to jump into the Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the first one. Colton, give us a quick summary if you can. Minute or a minute and a half.
Oh boy. So it starts off where there's this mom who gets injected with this like serum. I think it was like to make them smarter. And then there's like this scene where it shows they're doing this like test thing where you have to try to get the circles to like the smallest on top and the biggest on bottom without putting a bigger one over a smaller one. And he did it in the least amount of moves. And then the mom started going crazy and started attacking, so the mom died. But it was because she was trying to protect her son. And the son grows up to be Caesar, and they are gonna like kill Caesar. So then there's a scientist who takes him home. And then it's like cuts because Caesar got the serum from his mom, so he's really smart. And it cuts to like showing he gets older and stuff. And then their like grandpa has
Alzheimer's.
So he
and
forgets.
I did want to mention that real quick. It's the scientist is trying to solve Alzheimer's, trying to come up with a cure, which is what the serum is trying to do. But they're testing it on the apes to start with.
Oh, they think it works, so he uses it on his dad. And then there's a scene where the grandpa like goes outside and tries to get into this neighbor's car because he has Alzheimer's, so he doesn't remember. And then the neighbor starts fighting him, and then Caesar comes over and like kapowies the neighbor. And then Caesar goes to this like camp, or it's like a refuge camp, and then he's stuck there, and then they make it look like it's so fun and stuff, but it's not. And then Caesar becomes smarter there, and then he like learns sign language, and he talks to a orangutan. Then they talk, and then Caesar goes, sneaks out, gets the smart stuff, and like gives it to everybody. And then teaches the alpha monkey to like alpha ape to kneel, and then Caesar's the king now. And then this person was trying to like be mean to him and bully him. And Caesar like got him on the ground and yelled, "No! No, 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 no!" And then I think that's like pretty much the end.
Yeah, that's very good. Very good job. Yeah, why is your voice so worn out?
From screaming on the bus all day.
Oh, that's cool. So just a couple of notes to comment on it. He does get the version 2 of the serum, which is a gas, gives it to all the apes. But the bad part about the serum, the gas version of the serum, is it's deadly to humans. So I'm not going to talk about the original movie, but it does reference this. But this movie does reference that movie. There is a spaceship that left the Earth and then gets lost in space. So there's a couple of small little Easter eggs within Rise's Planet of the Apes. One where you're seeing the shuttle preparing to take off, and then another one later in the movie where you're seeing the message from the news saying "Lost in Space." So that's where this movie falls after the original one. The spaceship took off to go to space. This movie kicks off kind of in that timeline. All right, cool. So that's kind of a summary of the story. They are trying to get to the forest so they can live in the forest, but because they let this gas out, and the neighbor ends up getting it, and he's a pilot. At the end credits, it shows that he gets on a plane, and it kind of shows the path of that virus getting out, and so that's why all the humans are dying off, and the apes are getting smarter. It was because of this serum and because of this. This was kind of the impetus of it. Yeah.
Does it kill them or make them not talk? Because the girl wasn't talking.
So that's what we find out in War for the Planet of the Apes. So initially it kills off a lot of the humans, and then what we find out in the second movie is that there were some that had inoculated, meaning it didn't affect them, so they had like the cure inside themselves, so they didn't die. And then the third one, we find out that actually it's taken on another life. It's mutated, and now it's making them so they can't talk. So that's the thing that James Franco character built to try and cure Alzheimer's, and it has this effect over the course of these 3 movies.
It's basically where they devolve into these like dumb monsters. They evolve into like dumb creatures.
The humans?
Yeah, they devolve.
And I would say I don't know that they're dumb though. I think they just lost the ability to speak.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like reverting back to like primitive kind of instincts or whatever.
And that they're becoming the animal.
Yeah.
Right? The apes are becoming more human-like, and the humans are becoming more ape-like. And that really is kind of how the original movie is that it's basically a swap of the 2 roles. The humans are held in cages like animals, and they're captured like animals, and they're all that stuff, kind of like what we're seeing in the trailers for the new movie. That's happening in the original at that point. And the apes are the ones that are more intelligent. They're the ones that are figuring things out. They're the ones that are talking, all that stuff. And then Charlton Heston shows up, and he can talk, and they're like, "Oh, he's an evolved human." So that's kind of how that kind of plays. But that didn't give any spoilers away at all. So, Jacob, what was some of the things that you brought up Koba earlier? So tell us who Koba is.
Koba was in the same facility as Caesar, and he was I can't remember if he was treated worse, but he wasn't treated well. And he only saw kind of one side of humans, and so he's during the course of this movie, we just kind of see him as like this really like beefed up dude, and he's like bad.
Well, and he he's the one that they bring him in for the testing, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's a champ. He's done all of our testing," and you can kind of see he's torn, he's worn out, his body is kind of deformed, his face is kind of messed up, his eyes are, because he's been a part of all of these animal testing things, and so I think it's a great point. Koba's only seen this one side of humanity, whereas Caesar grew up in a home that loved him and cared for him and educated him and all this stuff. So Caesar has seen the good side of humanity. Koba's only seen the bad side of humanity. Doesn't super play out in the first movie, but it definitely sets it up for the second movie for sure. Connor, what's one of the things that stood out for you about the first movie that you really liked?
The testing, like I thought that was cool, but like, why would you test on the same chip over and over again? Can't you get more?
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of them, and I think they just kept him. He was still just kind of caged up, and they used him whenever they needed to. Yeah. So you like the testing? Like which part?
Just the room looks cool. Looks high tech, super high tech.
Oh, gotcha. Where the facility was?
Yeah.
Nice. Zeke, what about you? What's one of your favorite parts about the first movie?
I like how Caesar is the only one ape who can talk, but he doesn't talk too much. In the second movie, he talks a lot, but does sign language so other apes can like understand him.
Yeah, I think that was a really cool moment when he first gets them the gas. He sees that they all have green eyes, meaning that they're now you kind of have this virus, and then they're getting smart. And then there's like this whole scene where the manager of the facility is like looking in on all the apes, and they're all just kind of standing there talking, like mouthing or doing things, like doing sign language and stuff. And then he looks, and they all look back at him, and then they disperse. So it's like they were having like a group meeting, and he's like, I don't know what's going on here. These apes are kind of acting funny. Colton, what's your favorite part about the movie?
I liked how the orangutan already knew how to do sign language before he even got the gas. Like, he's super smart.
Yeah, that was very cool to see that, because that was one of the things that Caesar was learning growing up, was how to sign so that he could communicate to his owner, and so he could sign a whole bunch of words and basically communicate like a person. But then he's in this cage, and it's like, how are we going to kind of get these apes to all act together? Well, there's an orangutan that was in the circus that learned sign language so that he could do whatever his master asked him to do. So I thought that was a really cool dynamic, and just kind of for looking forward a little bit, he didn't talk very much in the second movie or the third movie. He still just kind of did the sign language. But for me, I think the most epic moment was the point when Caesar finally spoke, because then it was like this, okay, we're on another level now. Not just is he thinking, we knew he was thinking the whole time. We knew he had the smarts, but then that extra layer of the gas that kind of were giving them all these thoughts and able to make them smarter. It's like now he's gone to another level, and he's speaking. And like Colton said, he just said no a whole bunch. He didn't speak a whole bunch, but by the time we get to the second movie, a lot more talking, and then the third movie even more. But really, really cool.
I would definitely want to hug that orangutan. Yeah.
Yeah, if you see one in the wild, I wouldn't try to. I would just let them do their thing.
No, I'm gonna hug one. I'm just gonna run towards it and hug it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Zeke, but that might be the last day that you live if you did that for real. So, all right, so let's go ahead and do our ratings for the first movie, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Go ahead, Jacob.
I'll give it 5 out of 5.
Nice. Connor?
I give it 5.
5. Zeke?
5.
And Colton?
8 to ruin the streak, but I give it a 4.
That's fine. I think I'll do a 4.5. 4.5 out of 5. Really, really good. And I think it really took everybody by surprise, because those of them that were my age or a little older, the only Apes movies we'd seen were the ones that were like, dressed up in little furry masks and stuff, and we didn't really know what to expect with this new movie. But I remember when it came out, how everybody online was saying, "Oh, this is such a great movie." So I was like, "Well, I have to go see it then." I hadn't planned on seeing it, but then had to go see it then. So cool. All right, now up for movie number 2, Caesar. This series, the second in the trilogy. Colton, why don't you give us a quick summary of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
So it starts off with showing like all the humans are dead, well, almost all of them. And then it said 1 in 500 humans survive. So then there's these monkeys or apes, and then they said there's no way there's humans, that we haven't seen them in like 10 years. So then eventually Koba helped. There was this bear that was fighting Caesar's son, I think, or Caesar. And then Koba killed it. Like, it showed Koba was good. And then they found humans, and they shot, like,
Ash was the dad.
Ash's son,
Good call,
Rocket. And then, so they thought, like, Koba kept on saying them as bad, bad, bad. So he goes to their base and, like, acts all stupid and stuff. And then steals their gun, starts shooting them. And
but while Koba sees them the bad, what is Caesar doing?
Caesar says, no, they work with us. They're fine. So Koba, being little guy, and then like Caesar saw Koba, and it was like waving him, and it was like, why do you have a gun? And then Koba, this caught me by surprise because Grammy screamed, looked up at him, and then shot him. And Koba fell, or Caesar fell. So then Koba tells all the monkeys like Caesar died because of humans, and then the humans are running. So Koba goes to like the human spot and starts bringing all the monkeys and then fighting, and he locks up all the ones that were loyal to Caesar. And Caesar's actually alive. So then Koba kills Rocket, throws him off the cliff. So then Caesar comes back because the humans helped him. And then Caesar and Koba start fighting, and then there's like this big scene where they blow up the whole like crane.
Tower.
And then they're still fighting on it, and then Caesar held on to Koba's hand because he could have let him go. And then Koba said, "Ape, no, kill ape." And then Caesar said, "You are no ape," and then let him go.
Very cool.
And in the third movie, he keeps on getting like daydreams about Koba coming back to life.
Yeah, because it was a cool moment. Thank you, Colton. I did want to mention one other thing that one of the things that the humans were trying to do and why they were in the forest in the first place was to try to find power. There was a waterfall that had a power supply in there, and so they were trying to use that. Caesar allowed them to do it so they could get power and they could help the humans, and then they could live in harmony. But meanwhile, Koba goes and sees the humans gathering weapons, and so he just thinks they're going to kill us no matter what. So I'm going to kill them first. And then I have to say, I'm going to go first on this one. The most epic moment was when Koba's riding a horse down towards the human city who's firing at him. He's got 2 machine guns, and he's riding a horse, firing at the 2 machine guns and screaming all the way down the road. That was pretty epic.
I also wanted to mention that Caesar's wife had a baby. There was an old one, but then Caesar's wife got pregnant again, and then Caesar's son had a new brother, and I was just like, "Aw, new life into this world."
Yeah, that is a good point though, because he ended up being loyal. The older son ended up being loyal to Koba because he didn't trust his dad. He was trying to understand Koba.
Oh, I was gonna say my favorite part.
Go ahead.
My favorite part was at the very end when he said, "You are no ape."
So why would he say that he's no ape?
Because he didn't trust anybody, or he only trusted him. Like, he only was so selfish, and like he just wanted to kill, and like no mercy at all.
Yeah. So he's basically saying, in the apes that, and this is a huge deal for Caesar. In the second movie, you get so much more depth into the idea of understanding that this is something that we do as humans as well, and we struggle with, and that is we tribalize and we think I am the one and my people are the only ones that have it right, and everybody that's not like us is bad. And so that's on full display in this film.
I also thought that was my favorite part. Whenever Koba or Caesar says you are no ape, because like I didn't know what he was gonna do, because he was put in like a tough spot, but it was like really meaningful for him to do that.
Yeah.
The reason why Caesar said Koba is not an ape was because Koba killed an ape. He killed Rocket. So basically, I just wanted to put that out there. So why Caesar killed Koba?
Yeah.
And I think this is a reference to World War II, because it's like they're using their own people to fight like these humans, which they didn't do anything, and then it's like a holocaust because they're keeping captive the humans and the apes and some apes.
Yeah, it's very well. I mean, unfortunately, it's just the story of war in general. Is that a lot of times when that happens, conflict happens, we just gather up into the people that look like us, that talk like us, and then we think everybody else is bad. And that's as humans that happens. And I think that's one of the things that we talked about while we watched it. I paused it and I was like, listen, this is commenting on how humans have a tendency to act. And it's trying to call it out. And it can do so in a unique way because it's a sci-fi film and apes are talking. So you can look at it and you don't have to see yourself necessarily as the bad guy. But many times more than not in the apes movies, the humans are bad and the apes are good. But in this case, that's what Caesar kind of gets to in this movie. He says, I can't remember who he's talking to, but he says, I always saw ape as better than human because he's an ape and he's seen humans fail. And so he had it in his mind, all apes are better than humans. But the way that Koba has acted, the way that Koba treated humans, the way that Koba treated his own people, he said, that is a bad ape. And so you're not an ape because apes are good, apes are helpful, and you're not an ape anymore. And he also saw the good in humans. And so Caesar is really trying to show us like how we need to act in our world in this particular film, 100%. Now, I'm not saying we need to kill people that disagree with us because he did kill Koba. Not selling that point. I'm selling the point of the fact that he's trying to see the good in humanity. So he's trying to see the good in his enemy as opposed to just seeing them as bad. And I think the humans in this movie also, the ones that were trying to build that bridge or build that connection to the apes are trying to do the same thing. But then it's all the other humans that are scared of the apes because the apes are the ones that killed a lot of humans. There was a battle. They talk about it in the opening credits. We don't know, but there was some sort of battle that's happened too in the past 10 years ago while the humans are dying off, and then the apes rose to power.
It was at the end of the first movie, the battle between the police and the apes.
Oh yeah, true. There was that battle too. Connor, what was your favorite part of the second movie? Do you remember?
Whenever they first fixed got power and they were all happy, and then they went to a gas station.
Yeah.
And there was like music.
Yeah, that was cool. Back at home base, they were playing music and dancing and having a party. They were all excited, and then at the gas station there was some music playing too, and then Koba kind of had to ruin it for everybody. While I do find the Koba riding a horse with two guns driving through the smoke is pretty epic, but I did find myself very emotional in this film because of that what we talked about because in this film, Caesar is trying to love his enemies, love the ones that have tried to hurt him in the past, and it's trying to model for us, in my opinion, model for us how we should treat our enemies. We should care for them. We shouldn't hurt them. We shouldn't try to kill them. We should do our best to love them and to help them see that we're on their side. So that's my favorite part about this film. All right, let's rate it out of 5 stars. Colton, why don't you go first?
I'll probably give it a 4.5.
Yeah, same with Colton.
I'll give it a 4.
I give it a 5.
Cool. And I didn't think I'd give it a 4 for myself. So
Zeke didn't give it a 5.
that's good. It's good. Cool. All right. So let's go on to the last one of this trilogy, which is the War for the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, so this one started out with the war already coming and the war already fighting. But what we see at the very beginning is while the humans are coming in to to track down Caesar and the apes, is that there are also apes helping the humans. And they're calling them donkeys because they're carrying things on their back. So basically the war kicks off and they're right in the battle. They're right in the fight from the start of this movie to the end. What we find out through the course of the film is there's this human general that's played by Woody Harrelson, and he has this base that he's built, and they are all there. They captured apes. Harrelson killed his wife and his son, and so he wants to go take him out because he's fed up with it. He's like wants to send the apes on their way. You go to where they talk about this place beyond the desert where the apes can go. That's also a paying homage to the original film because the apes lived across the desert. So he sends the people that way. A few of the guys come back with him to try and take down this general. And then they get there and they realize that he's already captured everybody, and they're all encamped there, and they're being forced to build a wall. We find out later the reason they're building this wall is because this particular general has made a vow that he's going to kill anybody that can't speak, because the virus has morphed into causing humans not to be able to speak, and it spreads like a virus. It spreads through the people. So if he sees anybody, hears of anybody that can't speak, he takes them out. And so he's now facing off against the rest of the human army who's coming after him. And that's kind of how the movie ends. But Caesar and his group, including the new guy that's Bad Ape, they call him Bad Ape because that's what they used to say when he was in the zoo. He would, whenever he did something wrong, he'd call him Bad Ape. And so then they end up being able to sneak around underground in the tunnels and get all the apes out. And then the humans show up to take down this. There's this huge battle. The other humans are taking out Woody Harrelson and all of his gang. Meanwhile, before Caesar leaves the battle, he sees that Woody Harrelson's character can't speak. And so he's contracted this new form of the virus. And now he ends up taking his own life. And then Caesar escapes, other apes escape. Avalanche takes out the whole army so the apes can get away. And then they end crossing the desert. They land into this land of wonderful grass and beauty and water, which is 100% an homage to the Israelites leaving Egypt and going to the Promised Land, which we can talk about at another time. But it's an homage to that. Connor?
Whenever they walked to that camp, I thought it was a used concentration camp.
It definitely looked like it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zeke?
Really like how he called when he was rescuing the others, he called them like Bad Ape. And that was really funny. I'm like, bah!
Oh yeah, because he was introducing himself as Bad Ape. I'm Bad Ape. I'm Bad Ape.
By the way, at the start of the movie, there was this white gorilla, and they called him like what? And he totally betrayed them.
He was scared.
Yeah, he was scared, so he betrayed them, and then he died.
Yeah, he was trying to protect himself instead of protecting the group, and they branded him as a donkey, and then he ended up dying anyway. Caesar killed him, but I don't think it was it was on accident. He was just trying to keep him from making any noise, and ended up suffocating him. Jacob, what do you think about this last movie? What were some of the standout parts for you?
I felt like it was a great way to end the Caesar part of it. I'm excited to kind of see like what happens later in this new movie, and to see how, like, if it has like a Star Wars effect, if it how there's like these were the prequels, this is now like the present, and then there's the sequels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I did want to mention one other thing I didn't mention before, but along their journey, they come across a man and his daughter. The man tries to shoot Caesar. Caesar shoots him first, and then they find his daughter. His daughter can't speak, and she has this doll, and that they kind of bring her along with them. And then the doll gets taken by Woody Harrelson's character, and then he contracts the virus that makes him not be able to speak. So,
wouldn't the dad of the daughter get the virus? I was confused why he didn't have it.
Yeah, he may just not have gotten it yet. But that's a good call. Because he did try to say something, right? He did say something before he got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm just going to put this down," and then Caesar shot him.
Because he grabbed for his gun. Yes. Colton, what was your favorite part about this last movie?
Whenever Caesar walked in the room and he saw his mom or his wife and his kid dead. Wasn't really my favorite part. It was like just like a crazy.
Yeah, very powerful part. Zeke, what about you?
My favorite part was definitely when Caesar said he was like Koba. He said, Koba could not escape his hate, and I cannot escape mine.
Yeah, I think Caesar went on a journey in this one. He had to go through all of his feels because when you lose family members, I can understand him wanting to go on that journey. Ultimately, though, he didn't end up killing him. Ultimately, he did end up somewhat seeing him as while he went in to kill him, his intention was to kill him. He saw him as weak. He saw him as he couldn't speak anymore, and so now he had compassion for him, and so he let him kill himself instead, um, which is to put him out of his misery. That kind of idea, so he doesn't have to suffer. But he did it to himself. But Caesar kind of let him do it. Somewhat still got a good result from that, but I think Caesar had to go through a lot of those emotions, a lot of those feelings, and along the way, the apes kind of, when Caesar did that, the apes kind of lost respect for him. When he left them to go try and take out this general, when he comes back and gets captured, like the other apes don't respect him anymore because he did that, because he did something selfish. And I think he had to learn from that. And then he still stands up for the other apes, causes problems, and it's kind of a similar thing you'd see in other films with this kind of like capturing and uh, kind of being held against their will. You know, getting oh, we need food and water, we need this, we need that, and so they end up doing some of that. But and the other part that kind of broke my heart was there was one human that we see in the first scene. He's rescued, or he's not rescued, but he's left to live. Caesar lets him live to go back to tell the general, leave us alone, and we'll stop bothering you too. And then he's the one that ends up shooting Caesar with a bow, an arrow, or the crossbow, which ends up being this. It results in Caesar dying after they make it to the promised land.
I just wanted to say that the orangutan did talk in the third one, and Caesar definitely made the right choice by leaving the orangutan with the crown.
Yes, absolutely.
He talked in the second one too, though.
But just like one.
Yeah, he said run.
Yeah, he said one word in the second movie, but in this one, and I think that's cool as from a storytelling perspective. That's a cool thing to have one character that doesn't say anything the whole movie. He just does sign language, and he says one thing. It has a little bit more weight to it and gives that. So, Jacob, what favorite part of the movie? I know you kind of said you're kind of excited to see where it goes, but what did you like about this particular one?
Kind of like how Caesar kind of brings himself back up from like doing, going his unselfish way, and then he kind of brings himself back up by like not really saving everybody, but he's like, yeah,
Tries to help everybody.
Favorite part whenever they were on the tower looking around, and then the girl looked down and the guy was stealing on the horse, or like stealing something. He didn't steal the horse yet.
Yeah, he
And
stole
then
the gun.
He
and then
yelled
jumped.
like so loud, and I
Yeah.
thought he should have jumped down and like crushed him, but
Right.
then that one like lead to the story.
Yeah. Very cool.
I just wanted to say that there was a certain ape called Donkey, and he was basically working for the humans. He was very loyal to the humans. He was not scared he was going to die from the humans.
And he was also very loyal to Koba, and so that's why he's working with the humans. And why he's so loyal is he tells Caesar, because you don't know what you're doing, and you killed Koba, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to take you down. So that's that gorilla that they call Donkey as well, and he's helping them.
He also eventually betrays the humans when he sees Caesar getting shot with an arrow. He's like, I just wanted to imagine him like looking at his hands. He's like, what have I done? Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, it was that kind of thing that made it so that Caesar could get away, was because he saw Caesar and wanted to save the apes. So pretty epic story. I mean, just those three movies are probably one of the best trilogies ever made. I mean, it's just really well done. There's not a bad movie in any three of those. There's not a down moment. It's just great all around. So let's go ahead and give our ratings. I'm gonna go first on this one. I give this one a 4.5.
I give it a 5.
I just wanted to say that I want a moment of silence for Donkey. You may continue.
Give it a 5.
I gave it a 5.
And I'm gonna get it for 5.
All right, there we go.
Dad,
Well, that is what
you broke the streak.
I broke the streak.
Oh my goodness.
It was really good. I think I like the second one better. So go watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this weekend. It's going to be great. We're going to check it out as fast as we can. It's so good, and we're excited that you listen to the podcast. We'll catch you guys next time. Thanks again for listening to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I had a lot of fun having those conversations with the boys and dialing in on some of those lessons we can learn from Caesar. What a great character and what a great series so far. We're very excited for the new movie coming out, and hope you are as well. I hope you get a chance to check it out. I want to let you know about some upcoming items. The next week, we're going to be dropping our episode on Sunday instead of Monday because it's Mother's Day, and we're going to be releasing our conversation with Kristen and the movies that she likes, her top 5 movies, and kind of let the boys interact with that. That should be fun. The next 3 weeks following that, it's going to be parent editions. There's no big movies releasing that we were going to watch with the boys, and so we're going to be doing Mad Max, Fury Road, and Anya Taylor-Joy movies for the release of Furiosa. One of the weeks we're going to be on a cruise, and so the episode that's going to drop on that one is a combo episode with Titanic and Speed 2, both with ships that crash. So that should be fun. Hopefully prepare us for if something does go bad, we know how to handle ourselves. And then the week following that, for Bad Boys 4, we're going to be doing Will Smith movies and kind of the impact that he's had on movies and the ones that we like from that actor. So that's what we've got upcoming. A bunch of Kristen over the next 4 weeks. So I'm excited to have that. I hope you are as well. And again, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Letterboxd. And until next time, keep watching movies.